Now at 10, the Maple Leaf Festival in Carthage continues today with a Dachshund Dash. Plus the Pittsburgh Fire Station hosts an open house for fire safety and prevention. And Baxter Springs Heritage Museum hosts a Native American history program.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good evening and welcome to the KOAM News at 10. I'm Jalen Banks. With fall activities in full swing, we head to the city of Carthage. Carthage hosted the 56th annual Maple Leaf Festival, celebrating the start of fall in Carthage at the crossroads of Route 66. The festival had events such as a chili cook-off and a dachshund race, as well as more. A Maple Leaf Festival is the kickoff to a week of festivities and events in Carthage.
Yeah, Sunday in the park is just a fun way to kick off the week. Next weekend, is the big parade, but this is a fun way to get everybody excited and a part of all the events for the week.
This upcoming Friday, KOAM will be broadcasting our newscast live in Carthage for the Maple Leaf Parade. With today being the start of National Fire Prevention Week, the Pittsburgh Fire Department hosted an open house. It allows people in the community to come and meet their local fire department while also having an opportunity to learn proper fire safety and fire prevention.
Personally, I think it's great. It's an opportunity just to interact with the public one-on-one and to let them know that we're here for them if they have an emergency, and that we'll be able to help them in any way that we can. Just for the event, my favorite part, the smile on the kids' faces when they're out there spraying the fire hose with the firemen. That's the best part.
The open house was held at Fire Station 1 in Pittsburgh. A landslide fueled by flooding in days of torrential rain swept through a municipality in central Venezuela, leaving at least 22 people dead as it dragged mud, rocks, and trees through neighborhoods, authorities said on Sunday. The official death toll rose to 22. The recovery of 20 bodies on Sunday, and Vice President Delcy Rodriguez told state-owned Venezolana de Televisión. Drone images showed homes and other buildings damaged as local residents looked through the area. Dozens of neighborhoods, businesses, and houses were destroyed. Shelters will also be set up for the protection of those who lost their homes. Rescue workers were carrying out search and rescue work with the help of trained dogs and Drone 21s, authorities said on Sunday. Crews of workers and heavy machinery removed debris to clear and restore electricity and water services. Well, our thoughts are certainly with them. And Sam, I'm assuming you have more on the hurricane.
Yeah, Julia has been causing a lot of problems both with Venezuela and now the Central Caribbean as well as Central America, now moving across Nicaragua, now getting ready to move up over into El Salvador and Guatemala, just hugging the coast. And this is really unfortunate because there's a very large mountain chain going right through here, especially El Salvador. And so that makes them very susceptible to mudslides and landslides from all the tropical moisture that's going to be wrung out by those mountains as it moves off towards the west. It's only a tropical storm right now, but that doesn't matter. It's going to dump lots and lots of rain for those poor folks there. All right, let's take a look closer in view of our forecast. We're expecting pretty nice conditions. This afternoon, we made it up into the upper 70s to around 80 degrees across our region. And now we're starting to see temperatures falling off a little bit, and we're going to have some changes in our forecast, including some rain as well. So we'll tell you about that in just a little bit.
The Baxter Springs Heritage Museum held a Q&A on Native American history in Cherokee County. Cherokee County has a rich history full of Native and Indigenous people. The event was led by Larry O'Neill.
Well, there are so many people in this area have Native American blood. Some very, very little, but very, very few full bloods anymore in this area. But there are many, many people who have Native American heritage of some degree.
Indigenous Peoples Day is Tuesday, October 11th. The Pittsburgh Police Department held a bike patrol demonstration. There was a talk on safety as well as bike registration and a Q&A.
We were hoping that the community could come out and just have a one-on-one interaction with our police officers, put a face to the name, and just, develop that human contact with law enforcement. Community relations, community-oriented policing is a big aspect of the Pittsburgh Police Department. It's an initiative that we try to push every day with our officers.
The patrol demo was held at the Pritchard Pavilion. Ukraine's president is pushing to have the United Nations designate Russia as a terrorist state following Russia's deadly missile attack on civilians. At least a dozen people were killed in a strike over the weekend. The attacks followed the explosion on a bridge that links Russia to the Crimean Peninsula. Christian Benavidez reports.
Ukrainian officials say at least 20 homes and 50 apartment buildings were damaged or destroyed overnight when Russian missiles rained down on the city of Zaporizhia. Miraculously, some residents survived, rescuers pulling them from the rubble. Tamara Fedorina's 10-year-old grandson was injured in the attack. Do you see what they did? She asks. Children left without a place to live. The deadly bombardment follows Saturday's explosion on the only bridge connecting Russia to the Crimea Peninsula. It's been a key supply route for Russian military forces. Sunday, at least one lane of the bridge reopened to long lines of cars waiting to cross. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the bridge explosion was a terrorist attack ordered by Ukrainian special services. So far, no one has claimed responsibility, but Russia's investigative committee says the perpetrators also include Russians and other countries. In an interview with the BBC, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said he believes the Kremlin is laying the groundwork for a possible nuclear attack.
They begin to prepare their society. That is very dangerous.
There's concern Putin may feel nuclear is his only option as Ukrainian troops continue to take back territory Russia illegally annexed about a week ago. In the newly liberated city of Lyman, Ukrainian National Police have begun to exhume bodies from a mass grave. They estimate there are 200 civilians buried here, including children. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Miami.
The UN nuclear watchdog says Ukrainian engineers have prepared an external power line to Zaporizhia nuclear power plant following the shelling. Last week, Russian President Putin signed a decree declaring the plant, the largest in Europe, is now officially under Russian ownership. And we now take time to honor tonight's four-state hero. Ronald Harp, an Erie, Kansas native, served in the Marines from 1959 till 1963. He served in the Vietnam War. To Ronald Harp, we thank you, our four-state hero. And coming up, why protests continue to rage on in Iran. In a wave of defiance in Iran, female college students in Tehran screamed, "Get lost," to Iran's president as he visited their campus and condemned anti-government protesters on Saturday. CBS's Roxana Sabiri has more on the women driving protest in Iran.
Anti-regime protests reignited this weekend across Iran. On the streets, at universities, and at schools. But as the protests spill into their fourth week, the regime's use of force appears to be growing more brutal. Activists say security forces shot this woman in the neck in the northeastern city of Mashhad. And that in the western city of Sanandaj, they killed a driver who was simply honking in support of the protesters. Nearby, a woman wails, "My son, my son."
Often force in areas that is more remote from the capital and ethnic majority areas has been very, very intense.
Human Rights Watch researcher Teresa Parifar has documented the deaths of dozens of protesters across the country. How many of those are children?
There are the names of at least 9 children. It is not surprising to us that there have been children among protesters.
Anger at the authorities is erupting, and signs of resistance are spreading. Some shopkeepers have gone on strike. Hackers interrupted state-run TV with the message, "Join us and stand up." And more women are walking outside without the required headscarves, a simple yet symbolic act of defiance. Roxana Saberi, CBS News, London.
Pharmacists are expressing concern as the country sees widespread shortages in the drug Adderall, which is used to treat attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. They say other versions of the drug are also in short supply. The country's largest Adderall manufacturer, Teva Pharmaceuticals, and the Wall Street Journal is reporting the company says a labor shortage from earlier in the year disrupted production, and pharmacies are now reporting shortages of the ADHD treatment from several other drug makers. Many Americans of all ages use the medication to help them focus. Did you zone out today while talking to somebody or while at an event? Scientists at the University of Liège in Belgium say when people stare into space, sometimes the human brain is mind blanking, a state where the brain goes offline, like a deep sleep. Only the person is awake, and the phenomenon is normal. The researchers say all regions of the brain are communicating with each other at the same time. During mind blanking, the brain has a low level of cortical stimulation, and many can't report mental content because the brain doesn't differentiate what's happening. A University of Arkansas study says people who constantly use social media are likely to develop depression within 6 months, and user personality types didn't matter. Some personality types had less risk than others. Those more agreeable than others had less risk, and those who were more neurotic had higher depression risk. Study authors believe social media dependency leads to excessive comparing with others seemingly better off. The study reviewed research from another study of people 18 to 30. Later, we take a look at the box office drawings.
And we have some rain in the forecast for a change, and I'll tell you all about that in just a few minutes, so stay tuned. Folks, we have had some beautiful weather this weekend. I hope you had a chance to get out and enjoy it. It's been great with lots of sunshine and warm temperatures and a little bit on the cool side in the morning, but we'll take it right now. Beautiful evening shaping up across the area, including down in Seneca, Missouri with the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. And this afternoon in Joplin, we made it up to 78 degrees, which was 5 degrees above normal, but we were 5 degrees below normal, so it all evened out. 92, the record back in 1963, and 24 back in 2000, so that was quite a chilly morning there. All right, let's take a look at the month so far. You can see that we've had about 7 days above normal, only 2 days below normal, which is a change because we've seen lots of above normal days this summer, including last month. Right now on radar, it is all clear, but the good news is this is going to change. We're going to see rain developing on our radar over the next few days, and that's certainly welcome news for the farmers and everyone else too. We can see the upper level low getting its act organized across southern Arizona. This is going to be pulling off towards the north and east, and pieces of energy are going to rotate around the trough and start to move out into the plains, interacting with a cold front dropping down from the north and west. Basically what that all means is rain, and I think that's going to be really welcome news. All right, let's take a look at temperatures right now. Generally in the upper 50s to around 60 degrees in many locations. Pittsburgh right now 59, 57 cool degrees for our friends over in Stockton right now. Let's take a look at the dew points because they've been on the increase too, and that's good ahead of that frontal system. With dew points in the 50s, that's good because the moisture increasing in the atmosphere is going to ring out in the form of some rainfall. Right now, 62 in Joplin, feels like 62, dew points 50, pressure is steady, humidity 65%. The allergies have been going down, and that's good news too. Today is 4.2, tomorrow a little bit of an increase, but still not bad out of a scale of 12. Tonight we're going to see partly cloudy skies with lows generally in the 50s across the area, 55 in Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, 50 degrees up in Garnett and Iola, with mid-50s down to the south, and let's say 57 in Bonita and Chelsea. Then tomorrow afternoon, we're going to see temperatures warming up into the upper 70s to around 80 degrees, including Pittsburgh and Fort Scott, Garnett. Also, notice storms developing out in south central Kansas and northeastern Oklahoma. And as we go through Monday night into Tuesday morning, watch what happens. All this moisture just starts to come up over our area, generating a nice good rain. Not everybody's going to get rain, but most areas are going to get at least a little something. And hopefully we'll start to see the rain again on Wednesday afternoon and evening as the next front drops down. But Tuesday afternoon, we're going to see highs in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees on strong south winds. So please be aware of the fire danger, as we've been very dry for quite some time, and that could be a problem. Then on Wednesday morning, we're going to see storms up to the north along this front that will drop down from the north and west and sweep across our area. There is a risk of some severe weather, but it doesn't look like a big outbreak, so that's good news. The rain tracker looks like this, generally around 1/10 to 2/10 with the first wave, and then with the second wave, we'll probably get around 1/3 to maybe 1/2 inch in some places. Stockton, the model is pointing out about 1/2 inch of rainfall, so that's good. All right, let's take a look at the next 7 days. 81 tomorrow, Storms late tomorrow night into Tuesday morning. Tuesday looks around 80 degrees and then 77 on Wednesday with some scattered storms, especially in the afternoon and evening, shifting off to the south. Cooler Thursday and Friday, especially Friday morning. Look at the low of 39. Then next weekend, another chance of storms. And then behind that frontal system, look at that, 34 for Tuesday morning. We could actually see some freezing temperatures in some areas up to the north on Tuesday morning. So a nice forecast.
Freezing temps. I haven't heard that in such a long time.
Yep.
But sweaters, jackets.
Bring it on.
Maybe even gloves. It's here now.
Great football weather.
Thank you, Sam. And now we go to sports. Pitt State, huge top 10 win this weekend.
Yeah, Pitt State beat Northwest for the first time since 2017. We'll hear from the team. Plus, Missouri Southern picked up a convincing win over Lincoln. More next. The Pitt State Gorillas came out on top of a highly anticipated top 10 matchup against Northwest on Saturday. The 7th-ranked Gorillas are now 6-0. Chad Dodson Jr. threw for 283 yards and connected with Bryce Murphy, Devin Garrison, and Colby Katsis for touchdowns. That fueled a 21-3 lead at halftime, but it was all Northwest in the second. Pitt State stopped a late 2-point conversion attempt to seal the win in front of 10,000 fans.
Championship teams win the big ones like that, and no matter how it happens, they get it done. It's amazing, and like I said, it's a collective team effort. Offense, defense, special teams, collective team effort.
A ton of credit to our crowd today, our band, our students. It was a great environment today, and we challenged the crowd to be loud, and they came through. So appreciate them, and they get as much credit as anybody for the win today.
Missouri Southern beat Lincoln on Saturday 37-14 and improved to 4-2 on the season. Jaden Stoshak returned a punt 76 yards for a touchdown. Colton Winder had 2 interceptions, and Nathan Glades ran for 96 yards and a score. The Lions built a comfortable lead early on and were able to give their twos some valuable reps.
I've talked publicly about the need to get our 2 deep going. We've got to have 2s and 3s to be able to withstand this league. And so to have a ball game where we could get guys some reps, we can develop guys, that's huge. You saw some guys flying around, saw guys making mistakes, but normally you don't get a chance to correct them in live footage. Normally it's practice that you're looking at, but live bullets are completely different.
TCU handed Kansas its first loss of the season, 38-31. Jayhawks quarterback Jalen Daniels exited the game with a shoulder injury. Jason Bean filled the role well. He threw for 4 touchdowns and 262 yards, but Kansas came up just short.
Really proud of the way we battled, being down, losing Jalen. And I think we showed ourselves very well that we can line up and play against people. We just got to clean some things up. I think we left opportunities out there.
Here's a look at how the college football rankings shake out following week 6. Oklahoma State slides down 1 spot. They're ranked 8th, and this coming week is a big one for the Cowboys. They go on the road to face 13th ranked TCU. Kansas State jumps up 3 spots into 17th, and Kansas remains at 19 following its first loss of the season. The Jayhawks will look to bounce back against Oklahoma this Saturday. Kansas City has an extra day of rest this week. The Chiefs host the Raiders on Monday night. The Chiefs are 3-1 entering Monday's matchup, and through the first 4 weeks, Kansas City has allowed the fewest rushing yards in the entire league. Here's Chris Jones on the impact that defensive line coach Joe Cullen has made on the group.
I've been in this system 4 years. That's what's changed. Joe Cullen, his demeanor, our game plan, the way he brings the best out of us individually in the defensive line group. And, we harp on that. We take accountability to stop the run that's high priority on our list, and it gives us the ability to rush the passer once we stop the run. So force teams to pass the ball and do what we love to do most and get after the quarterback.
We'll be right back.
As always, it's our end of the week box office look. And as expected, there are some scary movies with it being spooky season. Let's check out what was at the top of the box office this weekend.
Don't Worry, Darling fell to 5th place in its 3rd weekend out, earning just $3.5 million. The Woman King moved down to 4th on ticket sales of $5.3 million. Amsterdam began its run in 3rd place, debuting with $6.5 million.
This is my crocodile, Lyle.
Lyle Crocodile, loosely based on the classic children's books, opened in 2nd place, biting off $11.5 million. Smile easily topped the chart for the 2nd straight weekend, grossing $17.6 million for a 10-day domestic total of nearly $50 million. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
I think we can smile about the forecast.
Can we now? All right, let's see it.
Yes, let's take a look at it. We've got some rain coming in, especially Monday night into Tuesday morning, then again on Wednesday afternoon and evening. Some of the storms could be strong on Wednesday. We'll keep an eye on it. And then as we head towards next weekend, yet another chance of storms. Not a big chance, but at least it's in there. And then turning much cooler as we head towards early next week with a low of near 34 degrees on Tuesday morning. So break out the sweaters.
We might have some people traveling to the game.
Yep.
What can they expect for weather?
Doesn't look like it's going to be a problem.
Okay.
Maybe a sprinkle or two towards the end of the game, but it shouldn't be a factor in the game at all.
Awesome. Danny?
Well, Pitt State, big win on Saturday. The rankings come out tomorrow, so we'll see if they move up from 7 or how things shake out.
It'd be hard to believe that they're not at least in the top 5 after beating Northwest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Depending on what, some of the other teams do. So
That's
we'll
true.
see.
All right, well, that sounds good. Remember, we're always on at KOAMnewsnow.com and the app. Thank you for making us part of your night. We'll see you here tomorrow.
Salon service is provided